Hi Lynn, I have read your notes and all the stuff that you've provided several times, and like I emailed you, I started getting downloads yesterday. Just to reiterate, you want to have some relief from the continuous anxiety that you have, and you have some sort of digestive problems which have been going on since childhood, which you would like to also get some relief from. Smoking is something that you would like to just sort of remove from your life. You want to know also, is there any sort of likelihood that you're going to suddenly die because you've had a couple of sisters pass away suddenly? And the last one was the clutter. So you were saying that there is just like a mess in your house, and sometimes you'll stand in your house and you just don't know what to do. You seem kind of aimless. And then if you did try to clear up the clutter, that you seem to be completely ineffective, and you'll end up just, as one of the remedies, escaping, getting in your car and just going somewhere just to get away from it. So you want some type of insight and guidance and so on that as well. So let's see what's there for you, Lynn. Greetings, Lynn, and thank you for calling on us to love you in a way, because when we help and guide and assist with channeling through the information which is pertinent for you and coming to a degree from your high self aspect, then this is a way that we are demonstrably loving you. And for us, that is a pleasant experience. So, thank you. As we see you, for us, the great deficit which lay at the root of much of these issues which you have brought to this channel, we see as being your disconnection from purpose. And this disconnection from purpose has left you in a state of meaninglessness. Your life is about existing, but really not much more than that. And so, when your life is existing, then for what reason is there for the sun to rise another day and for you to open your eyes and step into the world? And then intuitively you understand that if there is no reason, if there is no purpose, if there is no journey, then the life itself and this incarnation that you are currently puppeteering is redundant. And this intuitive understanding of the redundancy of existing without purpose, without meaning, is why that you have a fear of an impending death, that perhaps today is the day, or maybe next week is the week, or perhaps next month is my final month. So, to alleviate this intuitive glimmer that without meaning, without purpose, the redundancy of life will eventually see no point in continuing, then reconnect with purpose. And reconnecting with purpose is not as difficult as it sounds, because you were incarnated already with purpose. It is the purpose which has existed since the creation of the all. And of course, this is the purpose of the One. the one's reason for creating the infinite individuations of itself, including you, Lynn, is the purpose of knowing itself to completion experientially. Therefore, this is your purpose also, because you are an individuation of the One, existing within the illusory context where you are blessed with the capacity to have individual experience. In this life cycle, knowing yourself as Lynn. But beyond this illusory context, you actually are the One experiencing itself through the perspective which is you. You are a proxy for the One. Therefore, your purpose is to know thyself to completion through experience. So, if your life is always unchanging, and so the experiences which pass through you on a daily basis are essentially the same, then this is not fulfilling the divine purpose. It is stagnancy, where the waters begin to become opaque, losing the clarity, and the understanding which is taken into self through experience is stunted. And so, what is the purpose to exist if the experiences of your life are mundane, are the same, are repetitious, such that you are held in one spot? The person that you are today is very, very similar to the person that you were 6 months ago, because there is no growth. Yet, there is no growth because there is no risk. There is no stepping outside of the comfort zone. And while this is a sense of safety, in the greater view of why you're actually here, it is treacherous, because you are wasting the moments that you have in this incarnation, which are carrying you, preparing you, have been given to you, so that you can fulfill not only the greater purpose of the One, but also the very specific purpose of why you chose to be incarnated at this time, which is to be part of the ascension. And so, to be part of the ascension requires that you be compatible with the energetics of the ascension event. At the moment, you are not. Therefore, this requires preparation. And it is not only you that is not prepared for the ascension. The bulk of humanity isn't. However, there is still this window of opportunity where you can transition from your place of unpreparedness to preparedness. Yet this is a diminishing resource, this window of time. So, it is pertinent that you use this opportunity and develop a fine-tuning and alignment with the metaphysics of ascension. This will not occur if every day looks the same as the day before. The safety of staying within the confines of this comfort zone are false, and it is an artifact of living with a dominant mind, where you have lost sight of what you actually are and instead invested very deeply into the identity of the mind. This tendency that you have, specifically Lynn, is very closely related to the childhood experiences that you had. And of course, this is typical for everyone, and that's why when you listen to us have these private challenge, this will be thematic, because the person you are now is very closely linked to the experiences you had during these formative years when you were a young person. Because your father was alcoholic, his behavior was unpredictable, and at times he put himself at risk in a negligent way. And this, for you as the daughter, was very challenging to maintain a sense of ease, a sense of peacefulness within self, when it was unknown when and how your father would come through the door at the end of every day. Whether he would be drunk or be sober, or whether he would drunkenly get himself into an accident, staggering off a cliff. And this sense of the unknown, this sense of at any moment something which is unsettling could occur, put you in a continuous state of preparedness, of being ready for the unpredictable. And this is not a peaceful state, this is an anxious state. And as it was ongoing, as you said, your father was alcoholic until you were 11 years old. And it is commendable that he was able to step past that. Yet, those first 11 years for you were very formative, and compounding this effect was also your mother was having her own difficulties coping with the anxiety of her own life, which in a big part would have been related to this same source of anxiety that you experience, where she was married to an alcoholic man who brought into her life a degree of unpredictability, which put her in a state of constant fear and anxiety about what is going to occur, lacking the sense of security and sureness that would come from a marriage to a man who was very reliable, very predictable, and very focused on being the bedrock of the family on which everyone else can sink their own foundations. So, this sense of childhood was unsettling, but it was out of your control, because the source of your anxiety was in a large degree coming from your parents, who were beyond your authority and completely beyond your control to determine if they will come into your space or into your environment. And Now that you are an adult, you are trying to, as much as you can, control your environment such that this unpredictable elements do not intrude and put you in a state of being unsettled to a degree where it is unpleasant, where it is painful in a way and fearful. But this strategy which you develop as a child doesn't serve you anymore, and you would be better served to, rather than be in a state of protection, always on the lookout for the unexpected, to instead be rooted into a foundation of sureness, of total trust and faith that you are free to be completely open and vulnerable, such that any experience is welcome to come into your space, and you could meet it from a sense of complete acceptance and openness and gratitude. So, how can this be done? And why should this be done? Looking at the why first. For you to have purpose and meaning in your life, then there needs to be a reconnection with this universal purpose with which you were born, to know yourself to completion experientially. And this requires, if it is going to be fulfilled with passion, that you begin seeking new experiences, new challenges. But if you are in a state of constant fear and anxiety that at any moment some experience is going to intrude into your space that puts you at risk and that is unwanted, then you don't seek the experiences which grow you and thereby fulfill divine purpose. So, these conflicting positions have to be resolved. So how do you resolve this need to protect oneself with reconnection with the greater purpose of seeking the experiences which you now do your best to avoid? The how can be accomplished by anchoring yourself into an energy which is so resilient, so forceful, so powerful, that it can be relied upon, that it is beyond question that it will be there. So, with your father, when he was sober, he was there. When he was drunk, he wasn't. So, he couldn't be relied upon to be absolutely 100% available as a source of foundation for you. And your mother also, when you were very young, as you said, had her own nervous breakdown. And so she also wasn't available. In fact, she even spent some time in recovery, away from her family, including away from you. And so she also couldn't be relied upon. And so you were in a state of being a child, living in an environment which was unpredictable, and yet there was nothing that you could rely upon, to draw on as a source of foundation, to keep you feeling that even though the outer world is turbulent, you are secure, you are safe, because you are anchored into something which is unchanging, which is unquestionable in its reliability. And the one thing which is always available to you, which is immediate and accessible and tangible, is your connection to the earth. So, being grounded into the earth energetically is a birthright of every human, and all species throughout existence, when they are incarnated on a planet, the proper integration of the energetics of the avatar and the planet is to be grounded, is to be joined in a way. And this is because you, the individual, are part of the earth. You are part of the earth organism. And so very naturally, there is integration of your energies. In fact, you are just an energetic extension of the earth, because you are part of the group beingness of the earth. So, when you are living in a state of wakefulness, you're very naturally integrated into the earth. Yet, when you are not in a state of wakefulness, to be conscious of this energetic dynamic, then the only way that you would be integrated into the earth is if your parents had raised you in a way where you were integrated through your parents first as the proxy, your parents being the proxy for your integration into the earth, and then eventually they stepped aside and no longer played the role of proxy, and you very naturally then created a one-on-one connection with the earth. Now, this is not something which is done consciously, but as humans have evolved organically, this was just a very natural process, and it even was formalized to a degree. So, in native cultures, there are lots of ceremonies where there is honoring of nature, of the relationship with the environment, of giving reverence to the trees and the water and the animals and all of the things that give sustenance. This is the process of understanding that there is integration of each individual and the tribe into the energetics of the planet. And initially, the children observe this through the parent, and they are taught this by the parent. And so in a way, the parent is the proxy. So the child is rooted into the parent, and the parent is rooted into the earth. And so the child is also rooted into the earth, but through the proxy of the parent. This is the very natural and organic way it is intended to occur on your planet. And then as the child matures and begins to participate in these ceremonies and begins to have more of a mature understanding of their relationship to the earth, their integration into this greater energetic aspect of themselves, because, of course, they are the earth, then eventually the parent will step aside and the child will take their position as an equal energetically to all of the other adults in this community, and then anchor directly into the earth to draw on that energetic foundation, this unquestionable sense of security. However, in your modern societies, this has essentially been lost. And unless children have the opportunity to spend time in nature with their parents, and their parents have an understanding of the importance and reverence of nature, of the earth, and go into it with a sense of respect and awesomeness for the great importance and love of the nature, then the child is not going to have this relationship with the earth via the proxy of their parent, and then later be emancipated from the parent and connect directly into the earth themselves. Much of this does happen by default, because even though there is now several generations of your societies that have never really been into nature, there is still an aspect of each individual which is rooted into the earth by default. So this does still occur, and will always occur to some degree, because you are part of the earth, so you cannot be disconnected from it. However, when it is faint, when it hasn't been deliberately done, and your parents have not been able to be the proxy, then the connection into the earth will be lesser than is required to be highly functioning, in a sense. So we mean this by, when you are deeply connected into the earth, then you are able to be more forthright in the way that you live your life, and you can live more robustly. And as such, you take more risks, which means you seek out more challenging experiences. And the reason that you're able to do this is because you feel that you are up to it. That even if you expose yourself to challenging experiences, you will still be able to hold your ground. You will still carry on. You will still be able to exist in a fulfilling and meaningful way. And much of this is drawn from the resilience and the power of your relationship with the earth, from the earth itself. The earth, in a way, is acting as an energy reservoir from which you are drawing. So, as your parents were unable to provide this service for you, and this is not a condemnation, but these are just the challenges of being in the earth-human field. We observe that it is incredibly challenging here. And so, no condemnation is necessary, but rather admiration and respect. That you would make the choice to be part of the ongoing human incarnation cycle, knowing that it is as challenging as it is. So, we are here to assist, not to condemn. So your parents, they have our respect, they have our admiration, and they have our love also. And we understand that in their further incarnations coming in different variations, different permutations, they are going to grow, they are going to expand, and eventually they will complete the journey just as all aspects of the all will. So, for you, Lynn, to have the sense of power, the sense of security, then we suggest that you become more invested in nature. You develop more your sense of being part of nature. So we suggest that you begin to go into a natural environment which you find to be pleasing. As you are retired and you have the time, then we see this as being something that you could do relatively easily and of great effect for getting you past these obstacles in your life. So we would like you to go into nature on a regular basis and go into nature and disconnect yourself from the outer world, meaning don't go there to read a book or don't go there to look at your phone or listen to music, but literally go there to spend time specifically communing with this greater aspect of yourself. Develop a relationship with nature and allow this relationship to develop into a sense of deep love and nurturing, where you are the embryo, the child, and the earth is the loving parent, and allow its infinite reservoir of love and care to fully immerse you, so that you are able to feel a sense of absolute sureness that the earth's love for you is complete, and its desire to provide all that you require is absolutely complete. You are an aspect of the earth, and the earth wishes to also grow, expand, know itself, and ascend. And as you're an aspect of the earth, then your ascension is the earth's ascension. It is experiencing itself through the proxy, which is you. And for it to develop and grow, then all of its aspects must also go through this process of developing and growing. So it is invested in your growth. It is invested in your expansion. And it loves you just as it loves the birds and the trees and the fish and the clouds and the water and the mountains, because it sees you as intrinsic to itself as it does these other aspects. You are no different. You are nature. This is how the earth perceives you. And so as you are nature, then you are the earth. Its love it has for you is the love it has for itself, because that's how it views you. It views you as an aspect of itself. So all of the abundance, all of the security, all of the love, all of the peace, all of the tranquility, harmony, everything that it has for all aspects of itself, it has for you. So allow yourself to be immersed into this understanding. And when you are spending time with nature, to allow yourself to immerse, begin in this way. We will give you a simple process. Find your place which is peaceful. Turn off your phone. Put away your book. Close your eyes. And then allow yourself to feel a love for nature. To feel a powerful sense of awe for how amazing nature is. And then begin to feel a reciprocation of this love. So that you begin to immerse into this powerful reservoir of love and security, the absolute dependability of nature, of the earth. Just as the waves continue to meet the shore for billions of years, the wind continues to blow for billions of years. New aspects continue to bloom and to be born, and so on, for billions of years. This same reliability, this same assuredness, this same continuation is with the way that the earth feels about you, that has love for you. And now, as you immerse, allow this feeling of love and awe that you have for the earth, for nature, and the unquestionable love the earth has for you, to begin to meld into the same love, to be melded into the same perspective, into the same definition. So now that you are so immersed into the earth and the energies of the earth, that you are becoming the earth, that you are melding into the same being, that you are the same being, and that the infinite reservoir of power and love within the earth is your infinite reservoir of power and love, because you are the same being. The absolute dependability of the earth is your absolute dependability, because you are the same being. The bravery with which the earth meets every day, absolutely at peace, that regardless of what occurs, it just is what it is. Allow this to be your sense also, that it is okay to enter into each day with a sense of total and utter bravery, a complete sense of peace, that whatever happens, happens. It is what it is. In the true sense of what you are, Lynn, you cannot be harmed. You are invulnerable to what occurs here in the physicality of the 3D illusion. You are puppeteering the avatar, but you are not the avatar. You are the infinite, immortal, invulnerable, energetic. And so you cannot be touched by what occurs here. So fear has no purpose. It serves no function. Caution can be sensible when it is appropriate. But cautiousness to the state of being a fault does not serve you. When you are afraid that the next moment could hold something which you do not wish to experience, then you are limiting yourself. You are holding growth at bay, and as such, you are disconnecting yourself from your purpose. And then when you are disconnected from purpose, there is no meaning. Why exist? And if you remain in this state, eventually you will make the higher aspect intuitive decision to recycle back into another incarnation when the time is appropriate, so that you can fresh start and again re-engage your experiences so that there can be growth. So this is not to say that you are on the verge of dying. This is not what we are saying at all. If you were to depart the avatar, to disconnect your energetic, it would have been done from the choice of the true aspect of who you are. No one dies against their will. It is all by agreement. It is all by timing. And the timing is always what is most appropriate and perfectly aligned, such that there is growth, such that there is expansion, such that there is the most efficient fulfilling of the divine purpose, to know thyself experientially. If you wish to continue this lifetime, then utilize the blessing, utilize the opportunity. Start living in a way which brings confronting experiences into your space. So there is an interface with challenges that you are unfamiliar with, so that there is growth, there is fulfillment of purpose, and thereby there is meaning. Your mind and everyone's mind in the human field has a capacity for autonomy. So when there are tasks which are mundane, the higher self can, to a large degree, not be part of that. And it is just the repetitious automation of the mind, which is the organic artificial intelligence that performs the actions. And the higher self isn't drawn into the moment because there is nothing inspirational about the moment. There is no reason for the higher self to be there. There is no resonance with how the moment is being utilized. And so there is no reason for it to be present. And therefore you exist more so in the mind. If you are living each day in this way, where the moments are so mundane, so repetitious, so similar to moments that you've gone through before, then you will very rarely be present as the higher self, because the higher self will step in and disengage the automation of the mind when there is alignment, when there is synchronicity with how the moment is being utilized. And if you are present more and more as the higher self, then this engagement with your experiences is going to be much more aligned with this purpose. It's going to give you much more meaning to your life. And now this is starting to put you on the frontier of who you can be. So, one has to ask themselves, what is it that I'm passionate about? What is it that I can do which is so engaging that I'm going to be present as my higher self? So, these are significant questions, Lynn. It is so time for you to sort of break out of this repetitious cycle of the mundane and start challenging yourself. So, challenging yourself with experiences which are so invigorating, which are so engaging, that they draw your higher self aspect into the moment. So, it is important you start giving some consideration to what makes you feel passionate. What is it that you can do which is associated with a strong sense of excitement? Is it travel? Is it a particular hobby? Is there some career pursuit that you always dreamed of taking on but never did? It's not too late, because the purpose isn't arriving at the end. The purpose is the journey. It is the journey which draws you into the moment as the higher self. So you're authentically present and engaging with your experiences so one-on-one, without the facade of the mind, that experiential understanding is being taken from the moment to moment living of your life. And thereby it is meaningfully lived. Let's move on now to your digestive problems. For us, we see this as being very closely linked to your problems with anxiety. Your base level of anxiety is disruptive to your biochemistry, and much of it would subside if you could have a baseline which is more peaceful. So, this exercise we gave you, which is to root yourself into the earth, because at the moment you're very untethered. You're kind of floating about. You can never disconnect from the earth, as we've said, but as we see it, your connection to the earth is with a thin string, much like a balloon filled with helium. And so you are just sort of fluttering about, and you are very subject to the direction of the breeze. And so everything which is occurring on the outside is pushing you and shoving you in different ways, and there is little you can do about it. But other than to submit to the whims of your environment. And this is why you seek the refuge of being inside the bubble, which nothing else can intrude on, including any challenge which may grow you. So, rooting yourself into the earth would be more akin to driving a pole into the ground. And you are so anchored now that the wind, the rain, all manner of experience on the external cannot uproot you, cannot disrupt you, because you are so anchored into this unshakable, energetic understanding of what you are. And when you are so deeply rooted that you cannot be perturbed, then it becomes a possibility that you can relax. And so this baseline of anxiety that you've been maintaining, which is really, it's a flinching of your energetic field, such that if something does intrude in your space which is unwanted, you are ready for it. You're in a state of preparedness. And this is artifact from the experiences you had as a child, where your father was unpredictable because he was alcoholic, and also your mother was sort of emotionally unavailable because she had her own struggles. And so you were just the vulnerable child trying to get by. And you learnt from experience that when you are in a state of flinching, so you're ready at any moment for the unexpected, then it was much easier to deal with. And this flinching has set as a type of rigidity. So it's a rigidity in your energetic field. And your baseline has hardened, in a sense, with this contorted energetic field, which is experienced, manifests in you as baseline anxiety. So, anchoring deeply into the energetic birthright of your connection to the earth has, by intention, the functionality of you just completely relaxing. I'm fine. No matter what comes into my experience, I'm still connected to something which cannot be shaken, which cannot be perturbed. There is literally nothing that can come into my experience which can shake loose this foundation. So, I can be in a state of total peace, total vulnerability, where the innocent child can not only peek out from under the rock, which it has been hiding for so long, but can step fully into the sunshine, put its arms by its side, and look up at the rays, feeling them bathe your skin, knowing that there is nothing that can touch me. There is nothing that can perturb me, because I am deeply anchored into the unshakable. And as you develop this exercise and this realization of the truth of your energetics, then you can extend that love to include the sun, that sense of assuredness, that anchoring into something so much bigger than self, that any of the experiences which may come into this very small aspect of this much larger being is not enough to actually shake or perturb this larger being, because you are the earth, you are the sun. And then you can expand that even further to include the galaxy. So even an event which would be enough to move the earth itself from its orbit, would it be enough from this greater perspective of the galaxy being of which you are a part, could perturb this greater being? And therefore, you also are part of this mighty force. As you had former religion when you were growing, so you were raised with a sense of God, a sense of the love of God, then this distant love of the One, of God, can be bridged by expanding your love and your self-definition to include these greater aspects of self. So, doing it through all of the increments, you would expand your sense of self to include the entirety of the humanity field, the humanity being. And then expand that to include the earth, then expand that to include the sun, then expand that to include the galaxy, then expand that to include the one. And in the one is the absolute, most comprehensive version of this sense of total sureness and security that everything is going to be okay. We continue to re-emphasize this importance of connecting into the earth because your sense of feeling disconnected from life, feeling disconnected even from yourself, disconnected from your own immediate environment, is a manifestation of this disconnectedness you have from these sort of greater aspects of yourself. So it has become your responsibility to fulfill the role which your parents were never able to. So, as they weren't able to connect you into the earth through the proxy of themselves, then it is your responsibility. It is something that you must do. And although it may sound and seem esoteric, from an energetic perspective, from what we can see, because we are able to see the sort of the auric fields and the energetic interconnections between different aspects of the one, we can see that you are unplugged in a sense. And if you were to plug in and remain plugged in and become appreciative and acknowledged of this connection, then these issues would begin to resolve themselves at just a natural course. So that is why we keep going back there. And we just want you to understand in this little segue we're making now that it is not as esoteric as it may sound. It is very tangible, but it appears esoteric because it is occurring within a field of your reality which currently you don't have the sensory capacity to be aware of. But it is there nonetheless, and it is foundational. And much of what is occurring in the senses which you do possess is arising from this reality. So, please act on it and do the exercise of going into nature and connecting, anchoring yourself into these increasing aspects of yourself so you become part of the correct energetic dynamic. And this mighty power which flows through all of these expanding aspects of yourself also flows through you. So, we feel we've already been repetitious to a degree, so we shall not emphasize that anymore at the moment. And let's look now at your struggles with smoking cigarettes. As your mother was very stressed, she was living with an alcoholic man. She was a young and inexperienced mother with several children, and she then was very engaged by her mind, which of course is the way, as she had a nervous breakdown. This is very much a condition of a mind out of control. So, as she was very in the mind, she wasn't able to intuitively connect with her children. And therefore, when her children were in need of some kind, she was, in a sense, kind of deaf. She wasn't able to intuitively sense the needs of the child that was being broadcast energetically from the child. So she only had a small number of responses. She wasn't nuanced in the way that she parented you and your siblings. So early on, before you had developed the skill of sophisticated speech to a degree where you could convey your ideas, including your wants and needs, verbally, your mother responded very often with giving you something to eat, by giving you the bottle or breastfeeding you, because existing so dominantly in the mind, she was deaf to the energetic message that you were sending, and resorted always just to these same limited number of responses that were very mental in origin and just formulaic rather than intuitive. So many times in your life, when you were in a state of stress in these early years before you could speak, and the stress was related to things other than being hungry, you were still responded to as if you were hungry. So you were placated by food, by something going into your mouth, regardless of what the stress was. And so this has continued and is manifesting now in your adult life, where you seem to want to be putting things into your mouth, whether it's food, whether it's drink, or whether it's cigarettes. And this is because you are using it as the same strategy that was utilized by your mother to alleviate your stress. And as your stress is sort of the baseline level of your existence, then it is always present and it can rarely be alleviated. And so the need to use that strategy is always present. To be putting something in your mouth, whether to be eating, whether to be drinking or smoking. So, addressing this degree of anxiety that you have through all of these methods that we have already discussed is also going to help with your unnecessary eating, unnecessary drinking, and also with your smoking. However, the smoking is an addiction. So there is a biological component. It is not only psychological and emotional. But what you can do is, if the addiction is something that you want to get over, you can step by step this process. And the first thing that we would suggest is to find a delivery system which doesn't bring with it the harmful aspects of smoking cigarettes. So when you smoke cigarettes, it is the carbon monoxide. It is the many different additives they put within the cigarette. It is the tar. It is the carbon. All of these chemical inputs from smoking a combusting cigarette are the things that are most harmful, rather than the nicotine itself. So it is the nicotine that you are craving, yet it is the delivery system which is harming you. So we recommend, by starting this transition to relinquishing yourself of your addiction to nicotine, by changing the delivery system so that you are delivering the nicotine into your body in a way which doesn't include all of these harmful aspects of combusting tobacco. So there are many options. They can be buying an electronic vape and vaping a liquid which transports the nicotine into your body, or there is gum, or there are patches. So we recommend that you start there. And then if you are absolutely committed, then incrementally transition to a state of non-smoking. Your body is the temple through which the highest self aspect of you is given presence. So it is a holy place. And it is through this avatar that you also honor the earth and you honor the One. So it is a temple, and as such it should be treated with the reverence that a temple deserves, because it is sacred what occurs in the avatar. And if your reverence for your higher self aspect, for nature, for your God is genuine, then you would honor the temple. So, if you treat the temple predominantly in a way which is not honoring these relationships, then you are being disingenuous and misunderstanding what it is that you are and what your relationship to these greater aspects of yourself also are. It is time to begin living more aligned with the reason that you are here. Do not die a coward. Now, we understand that sounds mean, but we say this, Lynn, from a place of love and also understanding what it is that your higher self aspect wants to achieve in this lifetime. Your higher self aspect doesn't want to see you squander your opportunity by living fearfully, by living in a way which is so safe that nothing ever occurs, that no growth ever happens. And to do so, when you have the opportunity post-death to reflect back on the life that was just lived, so that you can analyze and absorb, to expand and complete the process of the incarnation, you will look back at it with a sense of feeling the opportunity was missed and that you lived, for lack of a better word, cowardly. And this cowardly state of existence wasn't necessary. It didn't serve a purpose. It didn't keep you safe as you feel that it may. In fact, it jeopardized your opportunity to achieve what it is that you came here to achieve. So, start taking risks. Start being more spontaneous. Live less in your mind. Begin putting yourself in front of confronting experiences. And do so in a way which is aligned with that part of your experience which you find to be exciting and invigorating in a passionate way. Discover what it is. And this will mean experiment. Your life is available to you to pack with experiences so that there can be growth until the very last breath. So it isn't too late. If that's what you tell yourself, what is the point? I'm at this age now, why start something new? It would be ridiculous. I probably would never start it, or I would never get good enough at it that it would even make it worthwhile. But that's not why it's done. It's done so there can be growth. It's done so there can be further progression down the path of purpose, which is why you are here. So, we see much unutilized potential in you, Lynn. And even to the point that we ourselves feel a sense of frustration because there is so much within you which can be offered to the rest of your reality. And there is so much available to you which can be utilized as your source of power, of being dynamic. Yet you are isolated from your experience and you are separated from your birthright, so you're existing in a state of limbo, loosely tethered to the greater aspect by a thin thread, and subject even to the slightest breeze can make you bob and move in a way which is unpleasant. And in response, you have shuttered yourself into an environment where even the threat and challenge of the slightest breeze is kept outside of your realm. And as such, you live in a state of stagnation. Stagnated to the point where everything has become so meaningless that even cleaning your environment, moving the clutter away, isn't a worthwhile activity. What's the point? Why would I even bother to do that? Because you are completely detached from purpose, from meaning, from birthright. So, now is the season to be bold, Lynn. Now is the time to be forthright. Now is the time to exist in a completely different way. To shift your self-definition and let go of any regard you have for what other people think about you. No longer be trapped in your own prison. Start by going into nature and reconnecting with this greater aspect of yourself, and allow it to invigorate you, to give you a sense of faith and sureness that is so complete that you can relax. and allow your baseline level of beingness to settle down to peace, to absolute harmony. And from this place of clarity where the space has opened up and the frontiers of your comfort zone are now far off in the distance, so much more possibility is now encapsulated into what you can tolerate, into this field of possible experience. Then look within there, what is it that ignites you, excites you, makes you feel a strong sense of passion? And take it on. Challenge yourself. Be confronted. And from it, grow. And purpose and meaning will return to your life. Your anxiety will alleviate. Your health will improve. Your fearful sense of impending death will disappear. Your unending desire to put something in your mouth will be replaced with healthier attitudes, healthier ways of being. And your new sense of purpose, of meaning, will overflow into your environment. And you will want to live in a way which pleases you more, where clutter is something that you easily have the motivation and the focus to eradicate from your environment. And life in total takes on an entirely new definition, new meaning, and your moment-to-moment experience is so much more invigorating, so much more worthwhile, that you no longer exist, but instead you live passionately with a sense of excitement and anticipated, not with dread and anxiety, but with happiness and joy and excitement about what it is that may be coming next. We love you, Lynn. And we can do no more than guide you and share with you some understandings that we hope will bring greater clarity into your life. But the ultimate responsibility to begin living in a different way is yours. And all that is required is at hand. So, if you are sincere about living your life differently, then begin living your life differently. And from this simple action, growth will come, meaning will arrive, and purpose will be found. Thank you. and we love you.